we're going to go ahead and get started. If y'all are ready.
I'm sorry, Heather. I bet you thought I missed on my first review. Oh, no.
So good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you all for coming. This is our first ever Women's Entrepreneurship Week. So in celebration of that, we have decided to kick off these events on the 19th and the 20th with an all-female panel representing multiple aspects and fields of business here in the Evansville tri-state area. So we're very excited to have them there. Also, those of you who are live streaming, thank you for live streaming with us today. So I will go ahead and just pass it off to our dean, Dr. Carey, for a few words, and then we will head into our moderated discussion.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, panelists, for joining us today. And for those of you who are joining us via live stream, this organization or this event is part of a national event of Women's Entrepreneurship Week that was organized by Montclair State University. And it's been going on for several years, so we're excited to participate. You know, colleges across the country participate in this, and so again, we're excited. This is our first year, and we will learn from these events and hopefully continue them over the years to come. Thank you to Alicia and Amy and Darla for their putting things together this week. We do have another event tonight. We have two tomorrow, and so we're really excited about those as well. And I wanted to throw a few statistics at you. According to the Small Business Administration, small businesses make up 99.9% of U.S. businesses, and they employ 47.1% of our employees. There are 31.7 million small businesses in the U.S., of which 25.6 million have no staff member, and 6 million have employed paid workers. 9.9 million are women-owned businesses. Women are launching 1,200 new businesses a day. 70% or 77% of women business owners have reported being happy. So that's a lot of happy women. They say if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. So hopefully we will hear something along that nature from our panelists today. Again, thank you for coming and thank you for visiting online.
Good morning. My name is Amy Mings, and I'm a student here in the MBA program, graduate student, and I will be the moderator for today. We have a list of questions prepared for our panel, and towards the end, we are going to open it up for audience questions. So if you have something, maybe jot it down so you don't forget, and we'll call upon the audience. And again, thank you to the people watching virtually. This event, we're glad to have it as that option and live. So without further ado, though, we want to get to our panelists. So I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves and share a little bit about their backgrounds and how they're involved in entrepreneurship. So if we could just start with you, Heather.
Hi. Is that?
I don't think it's on yet.
Hello? Is that?
I still don't think it's on. Let's see.
Hello?
Yes.
Is that on? Okay, great. Hi. My name is Heather Vaught. I have been an entrepreneur for over half my life now, so for 17 years. I own 4 businesses, some along with my husband. Probably best known for our gift and coffee shop downtown, River City Coffee and Goods. And one of our probably more successful businesses, we have actually a tattoo history book publishing company where we distribute books all across the world and work with a lot of different collectors to publish their art history collections to kind of memorialize those. So,
Thank you, Heather. We'll go to Jelena next.
My name is Jelena Masco. I do a few things. I'm a real estate agent with FC Tucker MD, and I also have my own nonprofit, Lumiere d'Education, which provide free education to children in Haiti. I have a school in Haiti with over 100 and plus students that we provide free education to. And also, I've been doing business for a long time. My husband and I, we own a video store when they had video stores. And we had to shut it down because, everything was going online. And I am a med tech by trade. I work at Boston IVF for a long time before real estate kind of take over my life. I don't feel like it's a job, like you said. I enjoy what I do. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, look at that. Okay. My name is Brandy Neal, and I'm the owner of Bombshell Bakes. I started Bombshell Bakes back in 2018 when I was working on my PhD up in Urbana, Champaign. And so I always tell the story of how it started. I dropped a cake off to a friend at a barber shop where he was a barber, and the owner of the barber shop was like, "Oh, do you do this for a business?" And I'm like, "I do now." So that's kind of how Bombshell got started. I began to go through all the legal paperwork, the marketing, classes, and things of that nature. So I make custom cakes, cookies, pies, cobblers, anything you can think of, I pretty much can make it, or at least try to. And then I also work here at the university in student affairs, doing a lot of equity and inclusion work at the university level. So.
Thank you. My name is Sharon Walker, and I have been in Evansville now 25 years. I had an opportunity about a little more than 10 years ago to take an early retirement. And I knew that I wanted to continue to remain active, but I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wound up creating a consulting practice that has been sustaining me now for this past decade. And one of the things that I really enjoy about it, my background is finance, strategy, and merger and acquisition work. But what I really enjoy about it is serving as a senior executive to smaller business owners. And most of them that I've worked with, I've done multiple projects for them over the years. And they use me kind of as an executive for hire to come in and help them think through something or design something. But it has given me the opportunity to do what I still love, but to do it in a setting where I only have to do it when I want to, and I get to work with people in a variety of areas. The other thing is that I had always done a lot of international work, so I was concerned that if by working with smaller entities, I would not be able to do international anymore. That also was a myth. So I think that, making those early steps and putting yourself out there and trying is so important to let the universe then bring things to you. Oh, and by the way, I also lectured here at the business school for 3 semesters. I taught econ, I think it was 241. What was it, global economic issues class, and love that as well.
Well, thank you to each of you again for being here today and being willing to take time out of your busy schedules to share with us, our students and faculty and community members. We really appreciate it. So I'm going to just start going through some questions, and I'll start by just calling on some of you, but feel free, everyone can answer. The first one that I would like to ask is, what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur or working with entrepreneurs? And Sharon, we'll start with you.
I hit it on a little bit when I was making my opening comments, but I think the best part is the freedom and being able to do it at my pace. And the other thing is that there's a lot of responsibility when you're working with smaller entities. I spent 10 years with DuPont, 13 years with Bristol Myers Squibb, Mead Johnson. So it was pretty, almost no opportunity for me to screw something up badly enough to bring the entity down. But in this setting, I take the risk a lot more differently.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's,
Well, I'm seeing a lot of head nods with the flexibility and maybe creating your own schedule. So, Brandy, do you have any other thoughts on your favorite part of owning your small business?
Yes, for me personally, I love the hard work that comes along with it, the grind that comes along with it, because when you own a small business or a business in general, it's not just a 9 to 5. Sometimes I average maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that. I'll get up in the morning at around 4 o'clock in the morning. Those are my baking hours. That's when I start. So I try to bake as much as I can and then come to work at USI. So I just love the hard work behind it, because for me, nothing ever came easy to me. And so this just being able to build my own business from the ground up to see where it's going to go in the future is definitely the best part for me.
Thank you. Jelena, Heather, do you guys have anything to add? Your favorite aspect?
My favorite, I don't even know if this worked, but my favorite thing about real estate, it's basically, I mean, my job is the only job where you can go into a stranger's house and not get arrested. So that's one of the favorite aspect of it, is just watching somebody get the keys to their house and the excitement in their face. And that's one of the biggest purchase that they make in their lives, and for them to be so excited. And now I'm selling houses to my babysitters, which, I mean, it don't make me feel good, but still. But it's just seeing the excitement in their face, and that's the most favorite part of my job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think for me, now that I also kind of agree with Brandy. Like, I love the hustle of it and starting something new, and I'm a problem solver. I think just the way my mind works, so I'm always interested in trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And then now that I'm like further along in my journey, kind of with our store, a lot of our store is locally made goods or handmade goods from makers throughout the region and even the country. And so a lot of that is being able to kind of share what has worked for me and what has not, which I'm happy to do that if it saves somebody else some time and mistakes, but even down to using my skills in marketing and things like that, trying to help them market themselves, because sometimes entrepreneurs are great at their product, but then sometimes don't have the budget or expertise to get their name out there or brand themselves and things like that. So just trying to help put all of those pieces together, even in a small way, if it's, branding their items for sale in a retail setting versus promoting themselves online or things like that. I really love being able to do that.
Well, thank you, Heather. And that actually kind of segues perfectly into the next question about what resources are available to startups. So I'll actually just kind of turn it back over to you. I know you alluded to that about, maybe mentoring people that make handmade items and helping them with branding. So are there any other resources besides maybe having a mentor that you would encourage maybe our students to seek out if they're interested in starting their own business?
Yeah, there's so much information just even on the internet these days. I started my business in 2005, and you could not sign up for your EIN number online or any of those convenient things that you can do today. So obviously there's so much on the internet, but locally, probably one of my favorite resources that I wish I would have known earlier on in my entrepreneurship journey is the ISBDC, which is the Southwestern Indiana Small Business Development Center. They are a wonderful group of people that will help you. You come to them with your idea. They will help you lay out your business plan. One thing I was never good at was I was like, oh, I'll do my own taxes and my own accounting, and hire an accountant. Don't do that. They will save you so much money and time. But there's basically like retired accountants and marketing executives that will help you put together a business plan and put together maybe a plan to buy a building or to get a line of credit and things like that to really help you scale your business faster. So locally, that is probably the biggest resource that I can, from the business side of things, to really help excel your
Thank
business.
you. And I believe that through the Small Business Administration with the Small Business Development Center, that those services are offered to the community for free. So that is definitely a great resource that
Very much so,
students can leverage to go in maybe with your business plan, if you've got questions, if you're just getting started. But it's also there for existing business owners, so maybe that have been in that practice for a long period of time and maybe have a new challenge that they're faced with, so they can use the Small Business Development Center for any type of questions. So I know during COVID, they've been a great resource with even some federal dollars that are available to small businesses. So definitely someone that would be a good partner and to network with. But Jelena, do you have any thoughts on resources available to startups, or what advice you would give to those interested?
Well, with our company, we have career nights, and it's free to everyone. If you want to be a real estate agent, they basically tell you where to go, what classes you need to take, and the cost, because real estate is not cheap. The cost, but they also have different programs in our company, because our company is one of the they train you the most. They don't just say, you don't just become a real estate agent, like, well, go get a house. They basically train you. We have training every Wednesday, and we have a huge support systems with the amount of experience that we have in our office. We have about 50 years worth of real estate experience. It's not like people think we're competing with each other, but we're really not, because there's plenty of people in Evansville for you to sell houses to. So everyone is very helpful. But basically, the first thing you should do is go to a career night so you can see what you need to do so you can get started in real estate. And it's free and it's online now. So that's one of the biggest resources that we have available.
Thank you. Brandy?
Yeah, I just want to second what Heather talked about with the Indiana Southwest Small Business Development Center, one of those acronyms. But I've definitely used their services for my business in particular. And I reached out to someone, and then they put me in contact with another advisor at the company. And I was telling him about how I was working on getting a food truck for my business, because you don't see a lot of bakery trucks these days. And so that's what I'm working on for this upcoming summer. But in that exchange with the company, he let me know that he basically provided me research for market analysis with the way food trucks companies are going to look within the next 5 to 10 years. He also provided me with a business plan, provided me with some other resources, because a lot of federal agencies or entities are looking to give money for women businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran businesses as well. So just encouraging me to register my business as such, so then you'll get special funding towards that as well. And then in the age of COVID, there's a lot of funding out there for small business owners. I know that Target, Chase Bank, there's a lot of big corporations, Facebook, that are also looking to give money to small business owners, but then even more if you're minority-owned, veteran-owned, or something like that. So definitely use the internet as well. And to go off the point of with students, definitely use the campus, because you have resources right here in front of your face. So talk with your professors if you have an idea. Go to their office hours. Take those marketing classes, those business classes, and things like that, and definitely use what you have on campus before it's time for you to graduate.
Thank you. Sharon?
Would add to that is, from the financial side, we've talked about a business plan, but one of the things I think with every client I've worked with, the understanding of the numbers and what drives them is so critical, and especially in the early years as the business is starting up. But guys, I've even seen a multi-generational owned business where the owner didn't really understand what was driving profitability. And I worked with them initially, I don't know, say 5, 7 years ago. And I assure you that today, it's a female-owned business too, and I assure you that today she can run those numbers and look at her profitability on a monthly basis, understand the business that she's accepting and the price she's accepting it at, so that she can assure that her bottom line is solid. So, for any entrepreneur, if math isn't your thing, money management isn't your thing, it needs to be the thing. One of the key things that you want to make sure you understand.
Thank you. And I would echo that. Just, I did my undergraduate work here actually in accounting, and it really is the language of business. And to understand, whether you're going to be in finance or marketing or entrepreneurship, having an accounting class is really going to open your eyes and help, you understand budgeting and financial statements, even for just personal finance. So if you don't have to take an accounting class, I would still encourage you to do that. And then also here at USI, there are non-credit courses that are offered. So if you have questions on personal finance or pieces that may help you in your entrepreneurship journey, like marketing or photography, those are also offered as resources too for students. So keep that in mind as well. The next question I want to transition to, I know we have alluded to COVID and how it's just really affected everything, but how has your businesses pivoted or adjusted due to COVID, or there anything that has really caused pause? I know we'll start with Heather again because we were talking earlier that you've taken things to an online platform. So if you could share about that and any other ways that you've adjusted your business due to COVID.
Yeah, overall, we've been pretty blessed to not, we obviously had a few months, in the beginning where we weren't open and things like that, but overall, I was very reluctant to go to like an online platform because so much of our business is in person, and it's about making that personal connection or being able to tell the story behind this item that a maker has made and why it is maybe more than like a wallet that you could buy at Target, and it's because they've hand sewed it and cut it and spent all of this time putting it together. And I was hesitant to think that we could share that story as effectively online. As we got closer to the holiday season, I realized that I better pivot quickly. So we definitely moved as much of our product as we could to an online platform, which included switching over our entire POS system. I was like, oh, we probably just have like a few hundred items in the store, and then we got to like 1,200, and I was like, this is taking much longer than I thought, and I wish I would have started when we were closed for a few months. But during the holiday season, it has been helpful, and I think if anything, for people to browse and then come in and quickly make their purchase, or to do like, we started like a curbside pickup. I also serve on the Economic Improvement District Board for downtown Evansville. And if you guys have been to downtown, you know that like we don't all have our own parking lots. So it was very hard to do curbside service when we don't have a curbside to service. So, part of that was working with them and the city to establish some permanent curbside spots per block so that we could have that kind of accessibility to be able to walk out purchases to customers. But and then it's actually kind of expanded our reach to even outside of the area. There's lots of people that live outside of Evansville that might want an Evansville t-shirt or something from a local maker, or even to order something and then get it delivered to someone here locally, like a family member or friend. So it's been really good overall with that, but it was definitely not something that we had intended to do just because so many of our items are so unique. It's not like Target where they're making tens of thousands of a certain piece. I might only have one, and so taking a photograph of it, posting it online, making an item for it can get really overwhelming. But we've kind of figured out a few ways to kind of streamline that process for most of our items, and it's been really good. So.
Thank you. Jelena, how would you say COVID with real estate has impacted your business?
Well, during COVID, everyone was at home, so real estate was essential. So everyone wanted to see a house. I don't know if because they spent so much time at home and didn't, either they liked it or didn't like their house and they wanted to put it on the market. And the issue that we had after everyone came out of quarantine was that everyone wanted to buy a house. So we were getting offers like $10,000, $15,000 over asking, and we were extremely busy. And when you have 15 realtors competing over one house, you have a lot of frustrated buyers. So we were very strategic with how we were gonna service our clients. We did a lot of online virtual tours, and there was a lot of people who realized that, well, we were gonna be working from home, so they were moving from out of state, so we had to do virtual tours. We had people buying houses that they didn't even see it, just virtually. So we had to learn that and learn that technology, and telling them how to use it was fun. So real estate, COVID did not affect us financially. It was a blessing for a lot of us. I know it's terrible to say, but people just wanted to buy houses, and we didn't have enough houses on the market, so it's still happening for us as we go, but it's just learning your stuff, basically. You can't take shortcuts when it comes to real estate because it's gonna come back and bite you. So you just have to know what you're doing, know your programs, you have to know your contracts, basically, because we deal with a lot of contracts. So with COVID, plus you're going into people's houses. So you have to wear a mask, and you have to, I went around and get a bunch of hand sanitizers and wipes, and every time somebody leave a house, we had to go back and wipe the house and do all of that stuff because you're dealing with elderly people too, and you're in their home, so you have to make sure that you didn't bring that into their home. So that was one of the biggest difference for us. And it was really difficult having open houses where you can't have people just coming in, so we had to do it in slots. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Brandy?
For me, COVID changed Bombshell. I wouldn't say drastically, but COVID hit right in 2020, right? And so, or kind of at the end of 2019, but I was finishing up my PhD in 2020. And so it was kind of like, okay, well, let me finish my dissertation and then I'll open Bombshell back up. And then I went to a cousin's funeral, and I had met a nurse there who talked about how her hospital brings in different vendors for food and everything, and how they started to change their protocol with COVID. And so she basically instructed me that these are the things I needed to do if I wanted to keep in compliance with COVID regulations in my business. And so once I opened back up, I started individually packaging all of my goods just in case people were to share them out, or even if they didn't share them out. They have the option to choose that on the website if they want them individually packaged or not. Also, just ordering times with different vendors and manufacturing, that has pushed me back so much in terms of them not having supplies. So that's definitely been, I would say, a downfall. I would go to Sam's Club. I went like last week. They didn't have eggs, cream cheese, heavy whipping cream, Oreos. They didn't have any of the ingredients that I needed. So buying those from the grocery store is not as ideal as I would like it, or even just getting my shipping materials to ship out to people, because I ship as well. And so having those delays with my manufacturing boxes and things like that. So I've definitely found ways to work around it, even though it's not ideal, but I definitely think that individually packaging my goods and everything like that has been like the best way to still get it out to customers.
Yes. Sharon?
Well, I thought for sure that with COVID, and most of my clients are not local, so I do a lot of things remotely, but I thought the world was shutting down. So, but as it turns out, my largest client and longest term relationship is with someone in the cell phone tower construction maintenance business. So can we say we need 5G everywhere right away? So it wound up being really busy in that space. And also I found that a couple of other entrepreneurs who businesses were not significantly impacted, but it also, I think, gave the ownership a chance to maybe think a little bit more about their business. So I wound up with a couple of interesting projects because the owners had a little more sequestered time where they could not leave their home or their office and move around. So it wound up being a fairly, it sounds like it wasn't all bad for the table, right?
Yes, yes. And it sounds like, too, just having that, one of the qualities of being an entrepreneur, being adaptable to change, because whether it's COVID or something else that comes along, there's always challenges, just like as a student that come up, and it's just how you face those and persevere and push forward. And it sounds like, too, surrounding yourself with a great team and taking input from others. Maybe it's your customer or as Brandy shared, just someone in the community that's able to share insights. So thank you all for that. At this time, we're going to transition over to questions from the audience. So does anyone have a question for our panel here that we haven't covered?
What type of support system and foundation does it take to start a small business?
Let me repeat that question just for our virtual audience. So what kind of a support system would you recommend as you're starting your small business?
I was just thinking maybe family, friends, or even financially too.
That's a great question. So does anyone want to
I
go ahead
can-
and answer that with
I can
financial
answer that.
questions, family?
For me, with real estate, it's basically a relationship business. So you have to have a huge support system when it comes to your friends. Because I was not born here. I was born in Haiti. I didn't grow up here, so I have a lot of friends here. My family live in Florida, so my friends have become my family. And my husband is a huge support system. So you have to have that support at home too, because having your own business, it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be, you have to have a good attitude to have your own business, because you're going to have real estate is not always up. So you have to be able to adapt to changes, like she said. For me, my husband is a huge support system, and my friends, because I mainly work by referral, so they have been a huge support system when it comes to my business. And the company that we have a broker. We have to work under a broker. So my company that I work for, I've never worked for any other company before, but they have been a huge support system, and they're here to elevate you. And they actually push for you to take, if they feel like you overwhelmed, they take a day off, or don't let people take up too much of your time, because if you do, then you're going to be overwhelmed. So they push for that too. So you just have to have that base, because if you don't have that, it's just going to be stressful being a business owner.
I think one of the bigger issues in terms of support is just the financial bandwidth to start a business. So it depends on how capital intensive the business venture is that one is undertaking, but it's kind of rare that you can start a business and have it support you in year one.
Or two.
Or two.
Or three.
Yeah.
I suggest they must level off by 3. You gotta turn the corner at some point. But that's a very real thing, and it makes it more difficult. A lot of times where it works very well is if there's a couple and one can maintain the household through their income and the other can start a venture. I've also seen it where people have at some point had accumulated enough savings, so they say they've been working for 10 years in their field, and they start up something on the side, and then after it gets going, they can switch over. But it's an excellent question, and I think it's something that, again, when we're talking about business planning, we never want to kid ourselves, and but that will stop you from dreaming too. So it's a delicate balance. I tell all of my true entrepreneurial friends that it takes a moment of extended insanity to make the leap. But at the end of the day, you've heard all of us talk about the benefits on the other side. But being realistic doesn't hurt.
I just want to add to that really quick. So when I thought about your question in terms of family or friend support, I kind of went a different direction with it. Of course, the financial would always be something that you would want from family or friends if you didn't have personally. But for me, when I think of family and friend support, it goes beyond just giving that money or purchasing from me. It's the word of mouth. It's how you are sharing my things, or if I bring something to a family event, are you going to take it to your friend that you brought to the family event, or things like that. So support goes a long way. And one time I had told my fiance, like, you don't do anything for Bombshell. I didn't say that exactly, but it was basically I had been in the kitchen baking all day and going to the store. And he was like, I share Bombshell posts. I pass out Bombshell business cards. I always have on Bombshell merchandise. So support, and I thought about it. I was like, okay, well, support does look different from different people. And so just you have to keep that in mind. And sometimes your family's not always going to support you, and you can't get mad at them for that. I have family members tell me my prices are too high, and I'm like, okay, well, sounds like a personal problem, but I mean, Bombshell's going to make it with or without them. So you just have to find that support system that works best for you, and don't get discouraged when you're looking for support from that like one particular person, and it may not look like what you want it to look like.
Yeah, basically everything that everyone has said, I 100% agree with. Yeah, I was thinking as far as like, support, it obviously probably starts with your immediate family or household or whatever. I don't think they call like a lot of small businesses family businesses because, the kids are necessarily mopping the floor, although that happens. But my husband doesn't have ownership in my business, but he will be there fixing the floor or unloading a refrigerator or doing things building shelves that would not be possible otherwise. And but I think it also even, and then you talk about like friends and family like supporting you and sharing things and stuff. But one thing that I've realized too, and what has honestly kept me in Evansville, is that this entire city is a support system. We would not have had our most profitable year in 2020 if it wasn't for the residents of Evansville, Indiana. There's no reason that should have been our most profitable year. But it was, and I think that sometimes the most unexpected places, be it from the mayor's office down to a customer at your store, everything is so accessible here. And I think that that's like a really endearing quality that people sometimes overlook about this community, is that we've had, my husband's from Cincinnati, we've had opportunities to move to Nashville and continue our businesses and things like that, but I don't think that we could ever do what we've done anywhere else except for here. And I'm super grateful for that. I don't think that I could start a business at 17 and be full-time self-employed since 20 in Nashville or Cincinnati or any of these other cities. But I can drive there in 2 hours and enjoy those places, But I think that the people around here, when they feel invested in your business and you can put out there and tell them why you are excited about the thing that you're excited about, you can get them excited too, and they will like support you financially, but also if it's just sharing something on Facebook and things like that, I think that that's really like the most amazing thing about being here.
And I'll kind of add to, just from the financial side as well, back to the Small Business Development Center, even just networking with them, there are angel investors out there. So if you have a solid business plan, you've got solid projections, there may be angel dollars that are available to you if you show that you are going to make a profit in that 3 to 5 year time frame. So, network, look at those. There's also funding through the Small Business Administration. They have a special SBA lending just really for small business and startups that's also available. So just surrounding yourself, as we've heard, with, experts in their fields and learning about what opportunities, because there are a lot of grants and different types of programs for small businesses. So any other questions from the audience? One in the back. That's a great question. Let me just quickly summarize that for our virtual audience. So as it relates to marketing, if you don't have dollars for a full marketing department, how are you doing that research? How are you continuing your education, whether it's through podcasts or other avenues to stay on top of trends? Does anybody?
I can start. Going back to the support really quick, though, your biggest supporters are strangers. You're not even going to know where they came from or who they are. But in terms of how I keep up, I do listen to podcasts, but I do have a lot of people that I know personally that are in marketing, that are in finance. And like I stated earlier, I've worked with the Small Business Development Center here in Evansville and using that market analysis for the next 3, 5, 10 years in terms of what I want to go to, what I'm looking to go into was really helpful in terms of looking at the trends and things of that nature. And so also, I am a part of a marketing class here on campus, and so using what the students come up with in that class for trends and market analysis and things like that has also been helpful. So that's how I kind of stay afloat and keep abreast with all the, because as an entrepreneur, being the baker, the dishwasher, the runner to the store, the shipper, and all of those things, sometimes I need other people to, be in that expertise, and then I just get the information from them.
That's a great answer. Anybody else have anything to share related to marketing?
I think that for me, I'm going to say this, and if you would have told me this even probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'd be like, no. But when people say, like, you should network, like, that's my social anxiety nightmare. Like, I'd rather not. But really, it's so important. And again, Evansville makes it really easy. Just getting involved in things, not even necessarily going to a network meeting, which I'm sure is, like, beneficial. But just getting involved in your community, because I sit on a lot of boards and different things like that. And within those boards, there's people in real estate and marketing and finance and all of these things that I know very little about. And so when I do have a question, I know that I can ask them, and if they don't know the answer, they can direct me to where to go, or I might be able to utilize their services even as well. Which is sometimes harder as a small business. You think, oh, I can't afford marketing, or I can't afford this. But then sometimes you realize that you can't afford not to, because then you, and it's starting right out, you can't. Like you probably just can't, So there's tons of other resources, but just knowing those people, you also have knowledge that they can use, and you guys can talk and have coffee and advice, and they can point you in the right direction. And I feel like that's been probably one of the most used things that I've been able to like really utilize in so many parts of my business. But I was going to say too, and I don't know if this was exactly part of your question, but I've recently just hired on 2 more managers at my shop, so we have 3 now, which feels crazy. I don't feel like I should be able to do that. But one's just for marketing, one for operations, and one for the general coffee side of it and the employee relations. And I realized that I needed that when I felt so completely overwhelmed and I can't do it anymore. And I'm usually just like, well, I'll just do it myself. It's easier. Because I used to do all the marketing and all of the ordering and all of the hiring and all of the firing and all of the training and all of the buying. And I realized when I finally, and when it's your business, it's so easy to get so well, I have to do it because like I'm going to be the one that like does it the way I need it to be done. And now that I've handed off those things, they are doing so much better than I have ever done with them, because they can focus on it. And it's been a huge part. It's been really a big, I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years, but I was solo most of the time working by myself. So now that I have employees and people that can use their skill sets to really like help maximize my business, I can focus on more big picture things. And so if you start feeling completely overwhelmed, you probably need to bring someone on else to help you in that kind of way. So.
Yes. Sharon, do you have something?
One of the things, as a real baby boomer, I had an opportunity during the COVID year, a year ago, to work with a couple of millennials on rethinking marketing and also my own online presence and really getting me out of my comfort zone. So I think that it's no matter what stage you're at, there's usually so much what we call real work that has to get done. That's an excellent question. It's like you also need to be mindful of the broader landscape. And so thank you for the question.
Yes. So I think we've got time for one more audience question. Sure.
Yes, I did. Well, we did. We find out when everything started going online, they were not going to video stores anymore. So that's when we realized that it was time for us to to shut down the business. So we basically went online and transfer everything we sell all the movies. We had 10,000 movies when we shut down the store. And we had to get rid of them somehow. But people were buying VHS. We put them on eBay and sell a lot of them and then put them in storage, and somebody break in storage and take it all, which was okay with us. But my husband, when we started the video store, he was working full time and he would get off work, come and take over. We had a 6-month-old, so it was just a lot. So when we find out everything was going online, and we also was renting out U-Haul in the video store, so that was mainly our income with the U-Haul company, but we had to shut down everything because we know it wasn't gonna go. Now, looking back, with Netflix and everything, I mean, yeah, we just had to shut it down because of that. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again to our panel, and for those of you who asked questions, I know that networking was mentioned, so as a student, feel free that when we conclude our program to come up and introduce yourself to our panel, network with some of the other professionals that are in the room. We appreciate your support of being here, and I'm going to turn it over to Dean Carey to close us out. Thank you.
Again, I would like to thank you for your time today. I was just fascinated. I hope everybody got something out of this because I really learned a lot. And it was just such a unique combination of entrepreneurs that we have here that, we got a nice broad kind of overview. So thank you again. And I think we've got something. Yes. I'm going to turn it over to you.
So I recognized that earlier I didn't introduce myself. My name's Leisha Jones. I'm instructor in marketing in the College of Business. I was just way too excited to get started. So anyways, just a small show of gratitude for you all coming, especially during a pandemic, to take the time out of your schedule to come and, serve our students, serve our community, show the ways that you're blessing others and that you're mentoring the next generation of entrepreneurs, men and women. We did want to present you each with a certificate of appreciation. Don't worry, we have other goodies. We'll give those to you afterwards as well. But just as a small, show of gratitude to talk about how thankful we are to have you all, just something small to present to each of you as a thank you. If you all wouldn't mind, give them a round of applause as a thank you.
Does that conclude? All right, that concludes our presentation. And as Amy said, please come up and introduce yourself to our panelists. And again, keep in mind we do have a few more events as part of Entrepreneurship Week. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
So we have before you all get up and run away from us.
Aw, thank you.
We did